Hello YouTube, this is Thomas Jones back with another episode of my ongoing weekly series, Valiant Till the Last, in which I read the entirety of the Valiant universe, mainly by reading my deluxe edition collection, which I've never read before, so I'm now reading it all for the very first time. And in today's episode, we are looking, as promised, at Bloodshot Reborn. So this is the Bloodshot Reborn Deluxe Edition Volume 1. This is the cover. Love this image. If you look really closely, this kind of blood drop image is actually lots of tiny human beings. Tiny human beings falling out of this kind of like, well, the red circle, which obviously is synonymous with the Bloodshot design. So that's the front. This is the spine. We have it, the spine, and volume 1 there. Written by Jeff Lemire, with a bunch of other creators as well. And this is the back, standard formatting, and so on. Okay, let's pop it open, and we can see the usual French flap at the front there with a bit of a blurb, French flap at the back there with the usual creator blurbs, and red end leaves. A little bit creaky, that's because it's brand new and I've only just read it the once. I did stretch the spine, don't worry. And this is the logo. So what we have here is the Bloodshot logo, but in this case it is Bloodshot Reborn, which is cool. And then we have the spine there, Bloodshot Reborn, Deluxe Edition 1, and a clean back. Okay, so jumping into this, let's have a look at what we can see. Formatted in the usual Valiant way, and here are the contents. It is split into 3 particular arcs. I don't know if they're available as 3 trade paperbacks, I imagine they are. We have the first arc, which is called Colorado, which starts off with something called The Dream, which is actually an excerpt from the Valiant 25th anniversary special. We then have Bloodshot Reborn issues 1 to 5. The next arc is called The Hunt, issues 6 to 9, and the last one is called Analog Man, issues 10 to 13, and then there's some behind the scenes extras as well. So when's the best time to read this? As you would have seen from last week's video, I just read The Valiant, which is the event The Valiant, and at the end of that event, I saw that there was a major change to the status quo of Bloodshot. And so I assume, and I've gathered from the internet, that then segues directly into this. Well, having read this, I can confirm that The Valiant, which we saw last week, is exactly the right thing to read directly before this. And it does have a key aspect of it, which follows through on this. And you have to understand what happened in The Valiant before you understand the position that Bloodshot is in at the start of this issue. Right, so just looking at this, hang on. We've got this kind of opening scene here. Like I say, this is from the 25th anniversary special. It's a short scene, but that said, it's actually really, really important to read this short story because it has some subtle revelations which become very much more important later on in the deluxe hardcover. So if you're reading in single issues, it's critical you track this one down, otherwise there will be events in just these few pages that get referred to later that you'll be lost if you haven't read this. But then getting into issue 1, amazing artwork. But yeah, it's basically classic Bloodshot Reborn, Colorado. It's really good, it's really enjoyable. As I say, in terms of understanding where the character of Bloodshot is, what's happened to his powers, what's happened to his personality and so on, it is critical to read The Valiant beforehand. In addition, The Valiant also introduces a few characters, like for example these guys here, which is really important to know and be aware of before reading this series, otherwise you'll be a bit lost. This guy is awesome. So this is, I guess, largely a figment of Bloodshot's imagination. It's someone called Blood Squirt, and he's basically just crazy. As you can see, they very specifically pick a jarringly incongruous art style. So it's kind of like a 1940s, 1950s Steamboat Willie, Cuphead kind of art style for the character. And he essentially plagues Bloodshot throughout this series, which is really interesting. And it's just done really well. It can be done really badly, but in this case, it's been executed extremely well, and I really enjoyed it. So this is the first arc. Artwork is great. Storyline is great. That takes us to issue 4. Yeah, I don't really want to just throw in any spoilers or anything, guys, other than to say this was definitely highly recommended, really enjoyable, and a very justified follow-up to the original Bloodshot series. So here we are, Bloodshot Reborn featuring Blood Squirt, little dude there. We're on issue 5 now. And yeah, as I say, they use different art styles really effectively to kind of indicate the appropriate things. And here we have The Hunt. This is the second arc. Again, solid art, solid story, interesting characterization. And as you can tell, you know, Bloodshot is looking quite different, behaving quite differently, and the explanation for that really stems from the Valiant event and that deluxe edition we looked at last time. Yeah, so continuing through, really good. This is issue 8. I think, from what I recall, the cover of this was kind of reminiscent of American Gothic, the artwork. Yeah, slightly American Gothic, the famous bit of art. Cool. And then we get into issue 9, which is there. And then we get into issue 10, which is The Analog Man. Now, The Analog Man, this is the third arc, and it's 4 issues, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't know what to expect from this. It's extremely good, it's extremely clever. If anything, it's a little bit like Old Man Logan. If you've read Old Man Logan, you know what I mean. If you haven't, you don't know what I mean. But it's a little bit like the Old Man Logan arc from the Marvel Comics. And by that I mean the original Mark Millar arc, which kind of launched the character and introduced the character. But it's actually got quite a different resolution. Look at that artwork, amazing. Quite a different resolution, quite a different kind of idea behind it. But like thematically, it kind of feels quite similar. It was really enjoyable. I really liked it. As you can see, art is really strong and consistent. And then we get to the very end and Blood Squirt again. And those are the 13 issues. What we then have is loads of extra features. Absolutely loads of them. Which are all really interesting and give you a really good insight into the creative process behind the comic. And then we have the gallery, and again with Blood Squirt looking pretty cool. Yeah, see? Kind of American Gothic-y if you're familiar with that picture. Yeah. And more special features. Right. That's it. Let's keep it short and sweet, people. So yeah, that was really enjoyable. Really nice self-contained deluxe edition. Really loved the arcs in it. It's integral to read this after the Valiant event because of the changes to the power set and background for Bloodshot as a character. So I'm glad I did that. It appears that I'm kind of getting this reading order right-ish. And yeah, so that was the deluxe edition. Highly recommended. Still enjoying Valiant a great deal. Next time round, I'm going to be reading Bloodshot Reborn Deluxe Edition Volume 2. Which I suspect is directly set up after this, because this ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. So that I assume should follow that through. And yeah, I will catch you on that next week, everybody. Until then, have a great one.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.